All right. So I'm hoping that this is working. All right. So I started a little bit early. I'm just trying to work the kinks out. I've had a lot of trouble with YouTube live streams in the past. Um, Let me know if you can hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know so I can fix that. I'm not going to get into the actual meat of this until 8 o'clock, but I'm just working out the kinks right now. So let's keep this going. All right, good news. This is actually working. I've had some real problems in the past, guys, with this not working. I am going to wait until 8 o'clock to get into the substantive discussion of all kinds of cool things I want to talk about today. Really, I've got some great news, great things coming in the near future. I want to talk with you all about it. Uh, right now, I want to get things a little bit more organized here because I'll see if I can show you this at the current moment. I don't have any samples on my table. That's a problem. Now, if I stand back here, you can see the back of this table. Maybe if I move it, there we go. All right, that's still a pretty aggressive angle. Maybe I can move you all back a bit. Hey. All right. See my microphone? It's not that much in the way. Super great. So, everybody, thank you for joining me today. I I do see that things seem to be working well, so that's great. That's great. Let me bring in the pours. I got to line them up just so they look pretty. I've got four different things I'm going to be drinking today. Uh, and I'll talk a little bit about each of them. Um, because of the nature of this, and this being my first time doing this, I'm not going to have as extensive of information on each of these pours as I would like to have, but I can give you some information. And I do have a lot of information about one of the pours, which I can go into later. But it's going to be, mostly stuff that you've heard of. You're familiar with these, the Four Roses limited edition releases. We've got the 130th, which is the 2018 limited edition release. I've got the 2019 limited edition, the 2017 limited edition, and then the Elliott Select, which is a limited edition from 2016. And I'll give you a lot more information about that because I was given a lot more information about that. So that's going to be some great stuff to discuss. We can really get into it here in about 4 minutes. So just stay patient with me, guys. It's coming soon, I promise. I'm really glad to see this actually seems to be working. And I'll work out all these kinks, in the future. It's going to be a regular occurrence. Every Sunday, you'll be here with me, I hope, doing these live streams. And maybe it'll be a little later in the day, maybe earlier. Like I said, I'm very flexible to this. I want to make sure the most people can watch these and enjoy these streams as possible. So all of this is very fluid and flexible, trying to make sure that I'm, reaching all the people who want to and can watch these streams with me. I will also say, and I'll say this again in the near future, but part of what I'm doing with these streams is specific lines of whiskeys. So today I'm doing all limited edition Four Roses releases. I've got some others in the future that I'll talk about here in a few minutes that are, specific lines of whiskeys that I have, a variety of different members of groups. and I'm going to try to do them all side by side, and hopefully all blind. Maybe not. This one certainly is going to be blind today. I'm going to be doing the blind tasting with 4 of the limited releases from Four Roses. So I'll be back in about 30 seconds. Just want to make sure I clarify something real quick. And I know 30 minutes is a lot of time to not be on screen, so I can sit over here and still talk to you. You will know I'm here. What did I say? 30 minutes? Okay, yeah, 30 seconds is a lot of time in internet time. 30 minutes would be a shitload of time. And I'm not going to do that to you. That would be pretty mean. That seems quite mean. All right. I'm back. Oh, 2 viewers left. They couldn't handle the 30 seconds away. What's up, Nate? I understand. 30 seconds is a long time in internet time, so it's easy to get distracted and wander off. But I got technically 2 minutes until this is supposed to start, and I'm not going to get into the real meat and potatoes of this until it's supposed to start. But I will tell you that I've got a lot of stuff on this table. I may have to rethink the structure of all this because this table is full of paper and liquor and a mouse and all kinds of things. Not really designed for live streaming formats, particularly because I need a little bit more when I'm doing a live stream. I have to have papers here because I can't edit back and forth and figure out what I need to say and what I need to make sure I mention and talk about. I got to have it in front of me because I'm a little bit slow sometimes. My memory is not the best. A mouse, I never even freaking thought about how valuable that is during a live stream, but you have to have a mouse or otherwise, you won't be able to engage with people. You won't be able to move things around. Manipulating the screen is actually pretty damn important, turns out. Last time I tried to do this, it did not go as well as I had hoped. So that all being said, getting that all out of the way, breathing exercises. It's a great way to start your drinking. Thank you all for joining me so much. I'm going to go ahead and get this actually on the road. It is 8 o'clock. It is a beautiful day to drink some whiskey here with the Drink Pro. Kyle, it's your man, right here in front of me. We've got 4 pours from Four Roses. These are all limited edition releases. I've got the 2019 and the 2018 and the 2017 limited edition releases. Now, the 2018 is the 130th anniversary. The 2019 and 17, I don't believe, have special titles to them. And the 2016 is actually one of the Elliott Select limited edition single barrels. That one, I believe, is still barrel proof, but I don't have that in my notes here. But it should be an apples to apples comparison of the last 4 years of limited edition releases from Four Roses. Now, you may say, well, you're not going far enough back. Well, I review what I can get my hands on, guys. So if there's something you want me to review, and you're looking like, oh, you didn't try the 2013 Four Roses limited edition, that was the best one ever, send it to me. I will happily review it. Just let me know. Reach out to me. There are a lot of different ways I can get a 1-2 ounce sample to make sure I try it and do a review of it. I love doing that kind of stuff, and I've got some really cool future reviews planned specifically where I'm doing this same kind of thing. I like doing live streams, and I think doing a live stream where I have a series of different whiskeys that are from the same basic lineup. So you can see up here all these Booker's batches. That's going to be a live stream in the near future. I'm going to do, I think right now I've got 9 Booker's batches. Going to be a sloppy night. Hopefully not. Hopefully I can keep it small pours, little sips, be okay. But they're all barrel proof, so it's going to be a lot. But that will be a fun night. I'm going to release on both Facebook and on my Instagram and anywhere else you can get a hold of me. I'm going to release information. Yeah, thank you, Nate. Yeah, so Elliott is barrel proof. Nate Cooper just checked. Thanks a lot, brother. Anyway, the Booker's batches I've got in my possession, either I've got bottles of or I've got samples from. I'll put a list together and release that because I believe that that's going to be a very near upcoming release. And if people want to give me other Booker's batches to add to this side-by-side, and they want to see how that compares to all these batches I've got, I'll be happy to accept them. I'll be happy to reference and shout you out in the stream. Speaking of which, I want to make sure I shout out the people who are generous enough to share these whiskeys with me. The 2019 Four Roses Limited Edition comes from Nate Cooper. He's in the chat with me. Thanks so much, Nate. I appreciate it, my man. I actually just saw Nate there this weekend. We shot some videos I'm hoping to release pretty soon. I'm hoping to get together with some more of these people that have been so generous and nice to me, that you all have become friends. And, you know, it's a wonderful experience that I've met all of you through whiskey. So hoping to do a little bit more on the road stuff. That can be kind of difficult, especially with the current world we're living in. But, you know, everything I can do to make that happen, I'm going to do. The 2017 and the 2018. These were donated to me by an anonymous donor. The anonymous donor that I have. I've been playing with different names for him. I've talked about the fact that I'm going to have a special animation in the near future. I got to reach out to my buddy who is just a wizard with the Adobe Creative Suite and get his thoughts. Shout out Eric. Hey, Jeremy, what's going on, my brother? Your mom. I'm glad we're starting off to a mature level today. Oh, goodness. Or Joe, maybe. Anyway, so I mentioned the 2 samples from my anonymous donor. The last sample is from a guy named Gregory Lane. I hope he's watching. Shout out, Gregory. Thanks so much for joining me. He is somebody who loves Four Roses. It got him into whiskey in the first place, and he puts a lot of effort into finding new, interesting releases from them and old, interesting releases from them. The time and effort and the money is something I know that it takes a lot to put into. So I'm always impressed by the fact that he's just so dedicated to the Four Roses line. This was kind of inspired by him because he was so excited to have, you know, somebody taste these side by side and get some flavor notes on them. And I love passion. I love enthusiasm. And, you know, shout out Gregory. He's the prototypical enthusiastic whiskey drinker. And everyone who shared one of these pours with me is a very enthusiastic whiskey drinker. And I love that. So thank you all so much for sharing your pours. Thank you for helping keep this channel alive and engaged. And I'm hoping to continue growing it. It's been a blast so far. I'm going to keep going. That's right. Passion. It's very valuable. Okay. That's why I've got this notebook, because I have so much I want to talk to you about. Another thing I'm going to show you. I've got some of the Colonel E.H. Taylors. I talked about the Booker's batches, and I talked about the fact that I'm doing sort of a series of different live streams with lineups of whiskeys from the same either same distillery or the same basic line. So all the Booker's the same line, all the Four Roses limited editions. I'm going to do one with all the E.H. Taylors that I own. So I currently have a sample of the barrel proof, and I'll tell you which one in another comment in the near future. I've got a sample of Amaranth Grain of the Gods. I've got the single barrel, I've got the rye, and I've got the small batch. So if you have any other E.H. Taylor pours that you'd like me to include in that lineup, and include in that stream, just reach out to me and let me know. Do you need something? No, I'm trying. Okay. Yolanda is just out of frame over here, and she looked like concerned with me. So, you know, when the lady is concerned with you, you better, you know, make sure that it's not something you've done. Anyway, I'm a little parched. I blame Nate for that. We've been drinking coffee all day. All right. Anyway, now that I've gotten that out of the way, oh shit, I almost spilled my glass. Third thing I wanted to talk about before I get too deep into this is the Patreon. I'm going to be restructuring the Patreon. It's going to have different levels. It's going to have different benefits. I really am super thankful for all the people that have been a part of it and have engaged with it and have stayed engaged with it. It means the world to me. And I want you to be rewarded, and I promise that you will be. I've talked a little bit about it on the Patreon during the Patreon Lens, things that I keep sending out occasionally. And there's going to be other ways to engage. Jeremy didn't know what happiness was until he got married, and then it was too late. It's never too late, man. There's always tomorrow. Just keep your head up. But people on the Patreon that have been there for a while, I'm definitely going to reward you. Don't you worry. But I want to make sure new people are coming in, and I want to make sure people feel like they're getting a value add for it. I'm going to be, well, first off, I haven't touched a red cent from the Patreon. All of that money is still stored up in a pool, and it's going to be used in a way that will benefit the group. I'm not trying to do this just to throw money into my back pocket. I want this to be a community, and I plan to, engage with it as such. So I promise you that. The second thing is I'll be making more announcements in the near future about different levels and different, benefits that are coming from the Patreon. Patreon.com/thedrinkpro. Let me plug it properly. Patreon.com/thedrinkpro. That's how you can engage with me there. That's a lot of preamble that I've just given you. Thank you all for sticking with me. I didn't see anybody drop off, so that's good. Because I know I get too excited about the preamble and not the main event. It's like I filled myself up on appetizers and forgot about dinner. Well, dinner's going to be delicious. So I've got the 4 pours here. Like I said, 19, 18, 17, 16, 4 roses, limited editions. I don't know which is which. This is a blind tasting. Shout out. Appreciate that, Trevor. If you're not a Patreon, you need to be. I hope that will be the case for several people in the near future. Much appreciated. So, I don't know which is which. This is a blind tasting just off screen. I have the sample bottles that these all came in, and they're labeled. These glasses are also labeled on the bottom. So I'm going to taste them in a row. I'm going to find out what they are. And then I'm going to come back and see how that information influences me. So I've given you a little bit of information. I don't know a whole lot, frankly, about the... Jeremy, I'm just so lazy. Send a link. I will send you a link, Jeremy. Patreon.com/thedrinkpro. I will send you a link. I promise. And if anybody else needs a link, comment in the live chat. And I'll reach out to you and send you a link. I won't let anyone's laziness be their excuse. You need a better excuse than that. So let's go ahead and give these a nose real quick, and then I'll talk a little bit about the one whiskey I have more information on. So these actually smell quite similar. Oh, wait a minute. So number 3 is much more muted than the first 2. Oh, I think I might like that one the best. So I guess I should point out that first off, for color, they're all very, very similar. They all look nearly identical. I suppose this one, number 3, is slightly darker than the others, but it's very, very subtle. It's almost not noticeable. Now, the 1918 and 17, I believe, and don't quote me on this, I might be wrong, but I believe those are actually blends. So they aren't single barrel products in the same way. I believe those are blended at barrel strength for particular palate. I think the same thing actually is going on with the Elliott Select, maybe, but they call it a single barrel, at least in this information I have. So that's kind of confusing. I'll have to look into that. I think that Four Roses does pride itself on its single barrel program and its private select program, but I don't understand how you can do that and have any consistency, because when they're doing these releases, so the note I have here is about the Elliott Select. The barrel strength Elliott Select in 2016 had about 10,000 bottles produced. That's more than one barrel. Absolutely. That's several barrels. So how can you have any consistency if you don't blend them together? And maybe that's just sort of a misnomer. They're calling it a single barrel and it's not, or, they're using some sort of tricky language to get around that. I'm not sure. But regardless, these are all barrel strength. So it'll be an interesting thing to try. Jeremy, I will be firm for you in my perceptions. So let's get a little bit deeper into these guys. First one, I'm getting a lot of cinnamon. There's a sweetness, but it's kind of subtle. It's like a sugarcane sweetness, though. It's not a rounded caramel or a honey. It's narrow. It's sharp sweetness. Maybe a hint of lemon, a little bit citrusy. Yeah, citrusy, cinnamon, candy, like a rock candy sweetness. Oh, shit. I'm spilling things already. I haven't had a sip of whiskey. That's not a good sign. Now, what you might ask, what are you looking down at? I've got my bourbon flavor wheel here, and if you've never used a bourbon flavor wheel, I highly, highly recommend you try one. Bourbon flavor wheels are not cheating. It's not doing something wrong. It's not training wheels. It is a great way for you to remind your brain what kinds of things you're looking for. And when you've got a bad attention span and a short memory, maybe flip those, just like I do, it can be really helpful to see the words on the page and go, okay, is that pepper? No. Okay, is that, honey? No. Is that caramel? No. That's a really helpful process. So go get yourself a bourbon wheel. They're available online. And if you're lazy like Jeremy, I can send you a link to one. So I'm getting a little bit of rose on this. There's a slight floral note. Citrusy, floral. This is very up. I mean, the cinnamon that I was getting was like a raw cinnamon, but it wasn't like earthy and deep. It was very light. It was like the powder, like going into a from a powder jar, of cinnamon that might be on your counter somewhere. But I really like the smell of that. That's a fantastic nose. All right, let's smell number 2 here. Wow. Okay, number 2 is way, way lighter. And by lighter, let me be specific. By lighter, I mean it's less prominent because the notes are actually much richer. On this one, I'm getting a caramel and a toffee. I'm getting a little bit of that sweet citrus, a little bit is showing up. But it's very subtle. It's mostly a little bit of cinnamon too. I will say I got more like a vanilla extract on this first one. On this one, I don't think I have any vanilla really. But it's hard to pull notes out of this. I wonder, that makes me think this might be the one that was open the longest, which I'm not sure what that means because I have the open dates on most of these bottles, in fact, which is uncommon. Typically, when people give me samples, I don't get that kind of information, but I love when I get it. Understanding when your bottles were open, how long they've been open, and how that affects the flavor is a wonderful experiment. Even if you just have 1 or 2 bottles on the shelf, take a piece of paper, write down the date you open it, write down 3 flavor notes. Then, wait a couple days, try it again. Wait a week, try it again. That kind of thing can be incredibly helpful, incredibly cool. All right. Oh, I'm getting some fruit out of this now. I'm getting peach. Like cooked peaches. This one's a little bit spicier. I'm getting a little more of a rye spice on this. Maybe a really subtle nuttiness. Not a bitter nut either. It's a candied nut. Like toasted almond. But it's not really almond. It's more like a cashew. That one burns a little bit more too. That one has a little bit more alcohol burn than the first one. All right, let's go to number 3. God, these are all wonderful pours, by the way. These are all hard to find, expensive, and really considered great pours by a lot of people. Sometimes you hear some negative information out there and people kind of shit on some of these expensive whiskeys that are $150, $200. I get it. I totally understand why. But I haven't heard very much of that kind of negativity about Four Roses. And I think there's a reason for that. They are trying to do really high quality products and they do a good job listening to consumers. Their barrel pick program is a testament to, figuring out what consumers want and getting it out there. And honestly, Four Roses is not one of my favorite products, but their limited releases are amazing. I really look forward to drinking all of these because I've had 2 of them in the past. I haven't had 2 of them, but the quality of the product is so good it just demands attention. Even though I've had some wonderful Four Roses picks that they didn't mean as much to me. They didn't speak to me as loudly. Ooh, okay. I almost get a peanut note out of this, which I did not expect. That's not something I typically get at Four Roses. First off, it's honey. It's creamy. It's like almost a white chocolate. A little bit of mintiness, maybe a spearmint in there. Definitely some cinnamon. That's a consistent one. That may just be something I'm going to get through all four of these. But not as much floral note as the first two. Particularly number one is the most floral by far so far. It gives me a lot of citrus and floral. Number one was very citrus and floral. I think number two is giving me more of the baking spices and a lot more of like a rounded, earthy, like not earthy, rounded, lower sweetness. But number three is really intriguing. It really is desserty. This is, like I said, white chocolate. It's got some baking spices. Maybe a hint of mintiness. Maybe a hint of tobacco in this. Just a hint. Just a hint. If you've ever have smoked flavored tobacco, in maybe like a pipe or something, it gives you that kind of note very subtly. The vanilla is also much more prominent in this than the first two. I have a feeling this is going to be woodier. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of wood notes in this that I'm not getting from these other two, maybe even all three. Just based on the nose. And I'm not getting wood on the nose, but I'm getting that peanuttiness pretty prominently. There's a lot of sharpness, and there's a lot of rounded richness. And all three of those can kind of signal peanut, signal a woody note, even when you don't think they are wood, just from the nose. They're almost like precursors to wood. All right, let's smell number four here. Oh, wow. Okay, this is totally... Wait a minute. Going back to these, number two has a little bit of a sour note to it. That the number four is just... Oh, yeah, some of these are really dark and deep and almost like an amber red. Wow, number four. That's like caramel and maple syrup, and this is caramel apple. Caramel apple. What's up, Keith? Drink Pro, drinking here. Thanks for joining, man. Oh, it's so much caramel. That is a caramel bomb. Caramel apple. I'm not sure I'm going to find anything else. I'll keep nosing it for a moment here, but it's just so prominent. There might be a little bit of a cedar note, a little bit of woodiness in there, but the caramel and the apple are just all you really get. Those just stand out like crazy. So, whoa, that's it's very prominent. I want to give you a little bit more information about the Elliott's Select, the 2016. It's one of the four that I'm drinking here today. It's one that I've had before, but I'm looking forward to trying again, specifically in this lineup. The 2019 and the 2016 I know I've had in the past. I may have had the 130th, but it's been a long time. And I've kind of advanced further on my whiskey journey since then, and my drink journey in general. So, I have a lot more refined palate. I notice things a lot more, and I find things I like a lot differently. So Brent Elliott is the master distiller starting in 2015, and he personally selected the 14-year-old OESK barrels that went into the Elliott Select. Now, there's a bunch of flavor notes on here that I'm not going to read. Just going to pretend they're not there. Just don't even look at them. I'm usually pretty good at that, actually. I'll let you know if I see something by mistake. But the 10,000 bottles of this were produced, like I said, 14-year OESK by master distiller Brent Elliott. I believe this was only sold at the distillery. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was. Anyway, doesn't matter now. You can't find it. You can buy this one on secondary, but you're not going to get it at retail unless you find a really lucky, really interesting shop somewhere small that needs your help. You got to go there and buy their whiskey. I also want to mention, before I go into tasting these, that I've got some Glencairn glasses I've talked about. I've been teasing a little bit. If these kind of glasses interest you and you like the Drink Pro, I've got something for you. I'm going to have logos on the glasses. They're coming next week. I'm going to have more information about them. I've been in contact with the distributor. I've had them send me a proof already. We made some modifications. I'm hoping that the proof I'm going to get next week is going to be the one. Once I get that proof finalized, I'm going to send that picture out to you all through Facebook, through Instagram, wherever else I can, and start collecting orders and get those glasses to you ASAP. So be on the lookout for those. I really am happy about making my own glass. It's just a lot of fun. It's something that, you know, you can share and show your friends and say like, hey, you know, I'm a drinking professional. Cheers. Make them have the glass, and then they'll ask, oh, who's that? Who is this person? I'll show you. Here, come join this live stream. Here, watch his mom review this Snapple. All right. Let's go ahead and drink one. This is number one. This is the one that's very citrusy, very floral. Oh, wait. I didn't even taste it yet. But after smelling all those, going away and coming back, a little sour on the nose. Actually, quite sour on the nose. Now, this is my first drink. These are barrel-proof whiskeys. That's always going to be hotter than you expect. There's a little bit of burn because you can't come in 0 to 60 and not get a little bit of that alcohol burn. Generally speaking, I like to go with a 3-sip rule. First sip, all ethanol. You're clearing your palate. You're getting your body ready. Second sip, you're going to get basic flavors, big chunks. Vanilla, is it floral? Is it, you know, big categories. Third sip, that's where you really start to break into it and get the little pieces out and figure out what the best parts are and what the nuances are. And you find the complexity as you continue on from there. So, second sip. And you really only have to do that on your first barrel-proof whiskey, by the way. Once you've gotten started into the process, or even if you've had a non-barrel-proof whiskey before, and then you come to a barrel-proof whiskey, you're probably not going to need that ramp-up. That ramp-up is really, you're getting on the freeway from a dead stop. You know, if you're driving anyway, you can merge pretty easily. I got a little bit of bitterness on that second sip. The floral notes there on the palate as well. All right, let's go in for number 3. The grain is prominent. Definitely can taste that sweet maltiness. The mid palate, oh, it's really interesting. I don't get a lot of bitterness from the barrel. There's a little bit, but it's very subtle. The woodiness is much more like a sweetened, soft, quiet wood. But there's a lot of pepper. It's very peppery. And, you know, the difference between like sort of peppery tingle and the heat is sometimes hard to discuss. But when you get that pepper tingle, it's almost like it's dancing on your tongue. The heat is more like sharp and steady. It's a consistent burn, like a high tinny note, like ee. The pepper's like that's that's good content right there. Okay. Okay. Now you know the audible difference between the pepper and the heat. All right. Somebody left. Somebody couldn't handle it. That's fine. Fuck them. I'm not getting a lot of notes out of that. It's very good. It's got, like I said, I've got definitely that grain sweetness, that malty sweetness. That's kind of honey, a little bit of vanilla. Lots of black pepper. The black pepper's so prominent in that one. And God, it lingers for days, guys. Black pepper, black pepper, black pepper. There's a sweet woodiness in the mid palate. There's something else there that I'm missing. I'm going to come back to that pour. I'll probably come back to all of these. I'll bounce between them. But that one, I'm intrigued by what I'm missing because I'm missing something, I believe, because it's not very complicated. There's not a lot happening on that palate for that, for me on that pour. Go to number 2. Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, that is Four Roses all over. Hey mom, mom said too much pepper. Hi mom. This this is what I want from Four Roses right here. First taste, very rounded honey, almost a molasses. Real molasses has more of a bitterness than most people realize. It's so deep and earthy and sweet. It almost has a bitterness to it. I think the roses are better. There's some rose notes in some of these for sure. Um, I think in this one, I'm getting these really rich, sweet notes. Vanilla and caramel, and there's this waxiness on the mid palate. And see, the pepper on this comes back, but not nearly as overpowering. That first one, it's so strange because it was so light and citrusy on the nose, but then on the palate, it was like quiet pepper bomb. This one had a lot more rich, earthy. I keep wanting to say earthy. It's not earthy. They're rich bass notes. This sort of like heavier, like a cinnamon and the herbal quality. Maybe even like a mintiness, but it's kind of subtle. Cedar. Cedar showed up. Cedar, a slight bitterness, but it's mostly like the woodiness. Very sweet. Vanilla keeps coming back. The lingering flavor is a chocolate bitterness, like a high cacao chocolate, and yeah, still that cinnamon spice sticks around also on the finish. I love seeing cinnamon on the finish. That's a note I wasn't getting very much in the past, and I've started to pick it up more and more. When I see cinnamon on the finish, I'm excited about it because the bitter finishes can be really unpleasant if they are barrel bitter. I do not care for that. Some people love it. That's up to them. But I do not like the barrel bitter finish. Yeah, that's true, Mom. Dark molasses versus like dark chocolate versus milk chocolate, or like dark brown sugar and light brown sugar. There are distinctions in some of those categories, and you can get really finely cut if you want to in terms of what specific elements of which pieces you're picking up. But that can be quite difficult. I just went back to the first one just to see. I still don't really, I can't find much. Oh, the way that second one hits your tongue, it's wonderfully sweet. It's wonderfully um, rounded, and it's complex in all the right ways. And it's such a journey. This sweetness, and then it gets quiet, and then it's woody, and then it gets quiet, and then you get pepper, and then it's quiet again, and then it finishes with like this gentle wave of cinnamon. That's really extraordinary. Number two right now is in the lead for me. Trevor asked, have you found age has any effect on barrel tannins and bitterness? Good question. I think that it's uncommon for me to pick up a bitter barrel note on a young whiskey, mostly because they haven't had a lot of time in the barrels. However, it's important to remember that climate makes a huge difference. So you can have a whiskey in a barrel for 20 years, and if it's in some of the regions in Scotland where there's not a lot of temperature fluctuation, it's going to be pretty quiet. One of the reasons that Scotch can have caramel coloring added is because some of their whiskeys are incredibly light colors because they're not using first fill barrels. And matter of fact, their definition of first fill is different from ours. If you say first fill in America, you're thinking of a barrel that has never had another liquid in it at all. First fill in Scotland means this is the first time we've put whiskey in it. So it could be a sherry first fill barrel, which makes no sense to me at all. That's the second fill. Anyway, I think that so much of this comes down to climate that I know that there have been some whiskeys specifically aged in Texas where I've gotten barrel bitter from relatively young whiskey, where they're using smaller barrels and they've got incredibly hot summers. And that temperature, that aggressive temperature causes rapid aging. You can get some young whiskeys out there that have a lot of bitterness, a lot of barrel flavor. And I don't always like that. It depends on the circumstances, but sometimes young whiskeys with a lot of barrel flavor like that actually is a real problem because it ends up tasting like this new make that's full of bitter barrel. And so you didn't get rid of that new makey ethanol corn note, but now you've added bitter barrel. Like you didn't do the right elements of this. You had the worst of both worlds. So to answer your question directly, it does have some effect, but I think that there are other elements that have more of an effect. If you see an older whiskey, there's a good chance, particularly if it's a bourbon, that it will be more barrel bitter. But that's not always true. A lot of it depends on the nature of the product and the nature of the process. Let's jump into number 3. Now, first off, the color number 3 is fantastic. I love the redness of this. This is wonderful. Thanks, Trevor. That tastes a lot like number 2. But it's got more pepper. The pepper's closer to number 1. Oh, and it lingers forever. God, the finish on these pours is fantastic. And it's so long and complicated. It's hard for me to give flavor notes because like I end up just wandering around lost in the abyss of flavor. It's not a bad place to be, honestly. All right, let me try to give you something for real. Right off the bat, cocoa. That bitter powdered cocoa. Definitely vanilla, definitely caramel. Mid palate's very, very herbal. Little hints of spearmint, little hints of pepper. White pepper, which is fun. The difference between white and black pepper. It's a fun thing to play around with. Get a little bit of heat on the back end here. This one is handling heat better than the others. So what I mean by that is heat is a tool in some sense. Having a hot pour can just burn you up and light you on fire throughout the entire experience, or it can show up in different places. And you don't realize how hot a whiskey is until you're halfway through drinking it and it's already down your throat. And you go, oh, wait. Oh, that's a hot whiskey. And then, if you can make it go away immediately after that happens, that is the sign of a fantastic whiskey, in my opinion. That's good blending. That's good processing. That shows people know exactly what they're doing because it's very difficult to have a whiskey have that much heat and to be nuanced and to have these changes continuously happen. Having heat show up at the beginning and continue throughout the whole thing, you can do that with fucking moonshine. But to have heat show up late and then disappear quick means you put it there. That is incredibly difficult. Ask anyone who's ever blended their own whiskey. It is incredibly difficult and so easy to screw up. I'm very passionate about the heat in the right place. Oh, the nose on this is so fucking good. Oh, it smells amazing. Oh, what's we got in the chat here? The Abyss of Flavor sounds like the name for this channel. Yeah, maybe. That's pretty bleak. I like the Drink Pro better. 95 barrels were used for the Elliott's barrel select, but they were not blended. Okay, good information. Thank you. See, that's really interesting. I wish I had the information on which barrel or which bottle I had. I don't believe I've got that. Let me confirm that I don't have that information. I do. Oh, okay, great note. Thank you so much. We got tab 25. Good information. Thank you, sir. I have the barrel information for the Elliott Select 2016. I'm being very careful not to look at the letter on it so I don't line it up wrongly. It's from QN532H. Now, that's a lot of information for people. I'm not going to go through all of it, but I think the most critical notes for our purposes, number 1 is the 2, which tells you it's from the 2nd floor of the Rick House. And number 1 is the QN. So that's information that lets you know about where it's located. You know which Rick House, you know which level. The other information is valuable in some sense. But to me, those make the biggest difference. And I will go through in more detail the differences between all of that information when I do a review of the private selects. Something else I'm hoping to do in the near future is try every single recipe of the Four Roses Private Select in a row. Line them all up. For those who don't know, there are 10 different recipes that make up the single barrel, barrel proof Four Roses private selections. I won't go through all of them, but it makes up of 5 different yeast strains and 2 different mash bills. The OE and the OB, those are the different mash bills. And then the 5 different yeast strains are O, K, wait, V, make sure I get them right, F, which one am I missing? Did I say K? I don't think I said K. K. Good thing I'm not a rep for Four Roses. That'd be fucked. Okay, let's put this back. Again, big shout out to Tab 25. I appreciate that information. Heat in the right place. That's exactly right, Jeremy. That's what you need. Okay, I'm going to give one more taste of number 3, and then we'll jump to number 4. This is a little bit more rye. I'm getting that rye note, that sweetness. It's honey and rye. A little bit of that tingle, a little bit of pepper. The honey's really prominent. Get that soft wood. It's soft wood on the palate. There's a joke in there somewhere. Somebody else make it for me. A little bit of nuttiness in the mid palate. Okay. Number 4. Oh, boy. Number 4 smells like a league of its own. Honestly, hold on now. Number 2 is a lot more sour now than it was. Yeah. I don't know if it's because it's more in the glass or what, but number 4 just has so much sweet cinnamon. It's like Red Hot's candy. Oh, okay. Here we go. Ooh. Oh. The way the heat is done in this one is very similar to number 3. I'm trying to figure out what elements I can use to base my guesses on. And one of them is the fact that 3 and 4 are so similar. I got some similarities between 2 and 4. I got some similarities between 3 and 4. But on the palate, 3 and 4 are incredibly similar. I think that might be my favorite one. I'm going to go through them again before I decide what my favorite is. But that might be my favorite. That's so fucking good. Let me give you a note. Let me get serious. I'll give you some real notes here. Hold on. Slight barrel bitter right up front, which is different. Definitely that rye. Very sweet. Vanilla caramel. A lot of herbal bitterness in the mid palate. Not barrel bitterness, herbal bitterness. The heat comes again. See, that's a Four Roses thing. They're doing this on purpose within their lineup. The heat comes after the mid palate, before the finish. But this one lingered a little bit longer. The heat on the number 3, mid palate stopped, then finish. Number 4, the heat continues on into the finish after beginning between the mid palate and the finish. So if you have first taste, mid palate, finish, here's where the heat begins. For number 3, it goes whoop, whoop. For number 4, it goes whoop. Oh, there's the finish. Oh, I'm going to keep going. I know those visuals are really helpful for you guys, so. All right. Oh, God, the nose. It's candy. It smells like candy. So much vanilla, so much caramel, maple syrup, just all of the candy notes. Nate says he's guessing the 4 is the 130th. He might be right. I don't know. A little bit of cocoa up front. See, that bitterness is bouncing. I get sometimes it's barrel, sometimes it's cocoa. There's a definite bitterness up front, and it's escaping me. I'm playing whack-a-mole to figure out what is the element that's turning into that bitterness. But then it very quickly turns back into this wonderful sweet vanilla caramel experience. Baking spice mid palate. Woodiness and nuttiness that are kind of quiet in the background with a little bit of pepper dance in the finish, and it lingers with the heat. There's so much happening in that. Holy shit. Okay. No notes. I'm not going to give you any notes. I'm going to go back to back to back, give you my guesses. Wait. Should I add water? Tell me in the chat if I should add water before I guess. I'm going to go through and taste them all. You let me know. Just type it in the live chat. Should I add water and do a water round before I guess them or not? Okay. Ooh. I'm not going to do that, even though I want to. That's okay. Okay. We're learning here. Oh, okay. I've learned a lot. Okay. I've learned so much. So everybody said no except Jeremy, who said no or said yes for contrarian reasons. The no's have it. Gonna guess, and I'll add water later. I think that's a good idea, Nate. Cheers. Take a drink of water so I don't light myself up too much. Number 3 was the hottest. It had the most spice, but that break off was really interesting. It's like the highest peak and the shortest distance on the ends here. Yeah, that's good motion. Yeah, it's good for the live stream. Right there. That's what we got on number 3. Number 2 is pretty high, a little bit longer. Number 3, the third 3 of 4 in terms of heat, but it's got a really interesting heat. The heat plays on the palate in a fun way. So I'm gonna grab the bottles and then we'll do a reveal. Oh, pardon my nose and my allergies. I just got all the filters changed in the house, and so we're working through some things. Oh, yeah, Jeremy, I'm not drunk, I'm tipsy. Okay. So, the 130th. Now, I'm really doing this just because I like the data. I love data. The 130th is 108.4 proof. I'm going to have to do math. The 2016, 53.4. So that's what? 106.8? Okay. 106.8. Here's 2017. Let's do them in order. So we've got 106.8, 108. 2017 is 108. 2019 is 108.4. And God, I'm having trouble, guys. 2016 is 106.8. 2017, 108. 2018, 108.4. 2019 is, I'm not going to do 56.39. I'm not doing that math. 56.4, which is 112. 112.8. That's league of its own hot. I'm going to go ahead and guess that the third one, number 3, was the 2019. It had the hottest moment. It wasn't all around hot. Yes, Nate's also right. I was around all kinds of fun allergens today. But number 3, I'm going to guess, is the 2019 because it had that moment that was very hot that kind of dissipated. Although, God, number 4 could be it too because number 4 was hotter throughout, even though it didn't have the hottest moment. I'm still going to say number 3, though. And I really have heard great things about the 2019 limited edition. It got great reviews, and I was so emphatically excited and enthusiastic about the way the heat played into the whole palate. So let's see, what else do I want to guess here? So number one's an outlier. The palate is different. It's an outlier from the group. That makes me think Elliott Select. Elliott Select's the only one in a different bottle shape than the other three. It's also very close to when Brent Elliott was named the master distiller. So we might have been trying to do something different and then decided to change the palate profile the next several years. Now the tough ones. The 130th edition. Hold on. This is higher proof. It's got to be. And it's so much happening. It's so complex. I'm trying to think who it was. I think, yeah, Nate guessed that the 130 was number 4. I'm going to have to agree with him. I think it's either 1918 for 3-4 or 1819 because it's higher proof up here for sure. I'll be stunned if it isn't. And it's so complex and so wonderful. It feels like the kind of thing you would save for your 130th, you know? Like, they made such a deal about that being special. I feel like you're going to go all out. We'll see if I'm right. That leaves, by default, the 2017 open, the day before my birthday in 2020, 3/26/2020, as number 2. Now, before I reveal, I want to make a note of something here. The 130th, although it's the highest proof, it's been open much longer than any of these other pours. I know that for a fact because I know when Gregory opened the 2016 here, and generally I know when Nate opened the 2019 here. The 2017 from my masked anonymous donator says 3/26/2020, day before my birthday. This one is 10/3/2019. This has been open significantly longer, I believe, than any of these other pours. We got a long note here from tab 25. Four Roses used to release a single barrel and small batch limited release each year. The single barrel was in the Four Roses single barrel bottle, the small batch in the small batch bottle. All right, that's good information. Tab 25 is bringing the research. I usually like to do more research than I've done for this one. My apologies for my laziness. I've been very busy doing other video shoots and trying to negotiate all these Glencairns and live streams and get more samples. That's no excuse, but I'm very, very glad that Tab 25 is bringing the info. The reason that's so valuable is that means 3 of these 4 are not single barrel products. One of them is. I'll have to look into that some more. That's good info. So, the fact that the 2018 is so much older and so been open so much longer than the others may make me change my answer. Let me go through one more time for the reveal. Nope, I'm sticking with it. All right, you ready to see how bad I am at this? Let's do it. First off, the 2016, the OESK single barrel from Elliott Select is B. This is not B. This is B. All right, so number 2 was the 2016 Elliott Select. The 2017 is D, which is number 1. So I had just flipped these. So I had flipped numbers 1 and 2, which is interesting. That is actually, I'm kind of glad about that because for a couple reasons. The 2019 I had heard so much positivity about. People were just over their, head over heels for the 2019. 1 and 2 were good, but they did not, have this explosion of flavor that you got from some of these down here, which I would expect from the 130 because it's the 130th, and I have heard so much good about 2019. I would expect from 2019. Having had these flipped, I guess all that really says to me is I guessed incorrectly that there would be an outlier component to the Elliott Select. It tastes very much in line with some of these other limited edition tastings, and they are all coming from the Brett Elliott. Like, that's still the master distiller for all these pours. They're not old enough that would be different. Let's go into number 3 here. Number 3 is C. Well, I did the same thing up here. I flipped them. So number 3 was the 130th edition, and number 4 was the 2019. So I kind of just flipped everything around, but I had them kind of correctly separated into camps. So I missed everything, got them all wrong, which is not uncommon, not surprising. But it's a lot of fun to see what's happening with these pours. I gave so much praise to number 4, and it's the 2019, and it's the highest proof. And I think my least favorite was honestly, unfortunately, the one Gregory was so excited about, the 2016 Elliott Select. Don't get me wrong, it's very good. All of these are very good pours. But in terms of like having a wow factor and popping and just being something otherworldly, number 1 wasn't getting there for me. It was very light and floral, but it didn't have the deep earthy notes that I kind of tend to look for with the Four Roses profile. I want that roundedness, that big, bold flavor profile from a barrel strength Four Roses. I want it to be everything all at once and take me on a journey at the same time. I have very high expectations from a Four Roses product. I'm just now realizing that I talked all that shit, and then I was fucking wrong. 2017 was the D, which is number 1 for me. So 2017 is just not my pour. Not for me. So that's a shame. It's good news for Gregory. Good news for Gregory, because number 2 I liked far more than number 1. Number 1 was definitely the weakest link for me. 2017 outlier, not my favorite. It was too light. It's too floral. It doesn't fit the profile I'm looking for. My mom said, booze your urn, drink what you like. We need to get your hands on the 2013 125th anniversary. It's a masterpiece. Tab 25 I would absolutely love. Oh, fuck. Okay, just so you know, this is not a table. This is a piece of wood that I have put on top of a keyboard stand that I was given for free. We run low budget around here, and it almost cost me dearly. But tab 25, I would absolutely love to get my hands on the 2013 125th anniversary. And, I did not get full pours out of these bottles, so I will absolutely keep them around just in case. Well, the Elliott's is gone. It was a 1-ouncer. But I'll definitely keep those around just in case I can get my hands on a 125th taste. I don't need much, an ounce or 2. Tell your friends. I would love to try it. I'd love to make a video about it. I'll shout them out. Let's get back into discussion here. Yeah, the 2017 is a real letdown. The 2016 Elliott. I think the 2016 Elliott's isn't particularly complex, but that's not a bad thing. It does what it's trying to do very well. It's very sweet. It's very nuanced, though not particularly complex compared to the 130th in 2019. Just make sure I'm not going to do this backwards fucking again. So the 130th has that wonderful, interesting dip in terms of the heat in the mid palate. I was so excited about that. I suppose I probably should have guessed that exciting, unique, interesting demonstration of distilling prowess should be in the 130th. I kind of missed that because I was so enamored by my personal preference for the 2019 limited edition. Big, bold flavors. It kind of hits you, it goes away, and then it comes back slowly and warms up. That's just a fantastic pour. This is a fantastic pour. Well, like I said, I'm going to try to keep some of this stuff around. My girlfriend made this blind for me, but she went a little bit hard on these pours, so I'm probably going to kind of reconstitute a little bit of this bottle because I do want to keep these around. These half-fill sample bottles I'll keep around in case I can get that 125th. Tab 25, hit me up. Let's find a way to get a sample of that to me. I don't. If you've got it, it'd be great. If you don't, that's fine. But I'd love to find it because if you think it's a masterpiece, I want to freaking try it. In the meantime, I do think the 2019. I think all these are probably worth picking up at their retail price. But the secondary prices get a lot higher than that, and these don't stick on the shelf very long. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Tab 25. Cheers. Nate said the 2019. Nate was the one who gave the 2019. He said it was one of his top 3 pours from last year. So nice. I see why. It's just really, it stands up so well. It bounces around on the palate. It's in and out. The complexity is just fantastic. Just mwah. It's got the je ne sais quoi. But all these are pretty freaking good. The 2017 is decent. I'll still drink it. I think the lower proof hurts it. It's not that much lower proof. But that's sort of a testament to the Elliots. The Elliots is the lowest proof, but I actually really still enjoyed it. It had more bassiness and more nuance and more of a journey than the 2017, which was 108 proof, 54%. And those are going to be barrel proofs. The tail of the tape here is really going to come down to how much of these I drank. Guess which one I drank the least of? The 2017. Guess which one I drank the most of? Not the one I would have thought. Not the 2019. The 130th. That complexity, that unique heat movement on the palate just stands out. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Please stay in touch. New videos every Wednesday, every Friday, and new live streams every Sunday. Let me say that again. Live streams on Sundays, new videos Wednesdays and Fridays. Probably a lot of interesting other videos on Wednesdays that are not just whiskey. I've got a lot of interesting stuff I've been given. Shout out to Vine and Table in Carmel, Indiana. They have decided to give me some samples that are not all whiskey. There are a lot of different things in there. I'm going to do some reviews on those and try to give you an interesting idea of some other kinds of liquor that's out there. I'll probably be putting those up on Wednesdays and keep Fridays for reviews of pours and Sundays for lineups in live streams. The Glencairns are coming next week. I'm going to let you guys know some more about it. If you've got a sample you want me to try, I'm doing the lineup bookers, like I mentioned. I'll get some lists out so you know what I've got. Same with the E.H. Taylors. Got some Kansas City store picks. I got a lineup of those. I'll give you some notes about what I got for that as well. Next week, I'm going to be doing a New Riff live stream to try several different New Riff store picks. If you don't know about New Riff, check them out, man, because they're making some 4-year-old store picks that are really phenomenal. Something that I've been very mightily impressed you can do in 4 years. That's a testament to the work ethic and the system they've got in place over there at New Riff. So keep an eye out for that. That's coming in the near future. I got a coffee review coming on Wednesday. It's going to be a great time, guys. I hope you are enjoying what you're watching. I hope you guys stay engaged. Keep drinking like professionals. I got to get out of here before I drink all of these samples because they are delicious. Thanks so much, guys. Like I said, keep drinking like professionals. Cheers.